Welcome to the Canadian Expat, where we continue on our journey speaking with Canadians that are living abroad so that we might gain a bit of inspiration, obtain some advice, and perhaps hear a few cautionary tales. Today, we go to Glasgow, Scotland. As evident from the number of guests that we've had currently living in Scotland, there are a significant number of Canadians living in this northern UK country. I'm just being conjectural here, but if I had to guess, I would have to lay a big part of the reason for that on the fact that, according to Wikipedia, there's a bit more than 15% of the Canadian population that have Scottish heritage. From the research that the Canadian Expat has done, we know that there are about 75,000 Canadians living in the UK. I would not be surprised to learn that a big percentage of those living in the UK are in fact in Scotland, and perhaps even right in Glasgow, where our next guest is currently. Stephanie Snowden moved to Scotland from Vancouver in May of this year, making her, for all intents and purposes, relatively new to the expat experience. I believe strongly that this is a great opportunity for us to speak with someone who may have some great advice for those thinking about making the move, as some of the pitfalls will be still fresh in her mind. Because we all know that as time goes on and life catches up, we tend to forget where or how we got to where we are. Stephanie, welcome to the Canadian Expat.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get into some of that advice, though, do you have any Scottish ancestry? Is that perhaps why you looked to Scotland to move to?
I do. I actually didn't realize, though, when I decided to move to Scotland, that my family actually is from Glasgow. I knew that I was Scottish, but I didn't know where I'm, so it kind of just ended up happening that way. But yeah, I am Scottish heritage.
So moving now 2 months ago, so relatively new.
Yes, just I'm new to the city. Moved here 2 months ago. It's gone by really fast. It kind of, yeah, it feels like a dream almost, but I'm here and I'm settled. So yeah, I'm loving it so far, 2 months in.
You mentioned a bit earlier when we first spoke that you are working now, correct?
Yes. So one of the things I had decided before I left was that I wouldn't plan out much what I would be doing once I got here. It's the first time I've ever used a recruitment agency, and that worked out superb. I went in for an interview on a Tuesday. I got a job offer on a Thursday, and then I was working on the following month. So it just happened like quite rapid. And I think my prior work experience in Canada really translated well for the role that I'm in currently with the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons. So it worked out really good.
Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
So you're adapting well to your new environment?
Absolutely. Yeah. It was a bit of a rough ride, I would say, for the first month, just getting in, figuring out everything. Now that I've got employment and I have a flat, things have definitely evened out, but it was for sure a rough start. It didn't smoothly my first month getting to Glasgow. So feels good now to just have things back to kind of normal. So
I understand that the accent in Glasgow can be a bit hard to understand. Are you having any difficulties with that?
Yes and no. So I would say most people are pretty good. There is that famous Glaswegian accent, and I sometimes have difficulty understanding what people are saying. I make my way through. They also have different terms that they use for just different things. Aubergine, I think, is like eggplant, for example. So um, slight differences in language, even though we both speak English. And yeah, it definitely is a little bit of a struggle with the accent, but for the most part, it's like no at all. Yeah.
Anything from home that you miss at all?
Um, well, I'm missing the good weather. I didn't realize how much it rains here. So if you are coming, like bring an umbrella. Um, the one thing that I think I miss, especially in Vancouver, like we've got a really locked down recycling system. And it's here in Glasgow. It's just not as, the wrinkles aren't just ironed out here. And of course, my family and my friends back home. So yeah, just those things.
What about food-wise? Anything at all that you're missing back home?
I think I am missing like grab and go salads, which is really random. They seem to eat a lot of like pies and fish and chips here, which are delicious. And don't get me wrong, I love a good toasty, which is basically a grilled cheese sandwich on top of a cheese sandwich. It's amazing. Yeah, but I don't really miss like too much of the cuisine. They've got quite a good variety now, so which is good.
So since moving the last 2 months, how has your outlook changed, do you think, on life in general, or towards Scotland, or towards Canada?
I think just kind of trusting yourself to meet new people and open yourself up. I think it just opens you up a whole new way. Like the people here are super friendly and super. There's that saying that people make Glasgow, and that's certainly true. And I think their warmness has made me a bit warmer as well as a consequence of moving here. So I think that's been one of the like benefits that I've seen in just the short term that I've been here. So I think that's been great. And yeah, it definitely puts like life into perspective. And I think this is true for any travel. You have to adapt to a new culture, a new way of doing things. It opens your eyes up to things that you probably wouldn't get if you were just to stay put.
Now, we spoke a little bit before this interview, and you had mentioned that you've formulated a list of advice for people that are planning to move. We'd love to hear this.
Excellent. Yes, I've compiled a list because I think when I moved here, there was a lot that I learned that I can find online. Um, the first, I guess, piece of advice that I have is to read as much as you can online about the visa process. So that means knowing what bits are required, knowing the dates and the timing of different things, as well as the visa rule. So, for example, come to Scotland the day that your visa is active. Don't come the day before your visa is active because I got exported when I arrived here. So the date that says your visa is active, that's the day that you should enter the country on. So just like little things like that, know the rules of visa is my sort of first piece of advice. And number two, I would say Facebook community before you get here. So join Canadians in Scotland, join Canadians. And it's great because you can ask questions of a community of people that have already done the move. There's people on different types of visas. I'm here on a tier 5 youth mobility visa. So, but there's lots of people in the Facebook community that can help answer questions. And they do meetups and stuff, which is great. We just went out and did Canada Day with the Canadians in Scotland group. It was awesome. We had some beers. So join Facebook groups as my second piece of advice. The third piece of advice I have is save, save, save. People tell you you need to save 3 months of rent before you move. Oh my goodness, save 5 months of rent before you move. Things happen that you don't predict will happen. And I think I'm good at planning ahead, but I didn't anticipate being exported. There's a month's rent gone. So save as much as you can before you come. bring an umbrella if you're coming to Scotland. Wear rain boots, bring rain gear, because it actually rained a lot more than expected. I'm coming from Vancouver, or Raincouver as it's called, and it shocked me to see how much it rains here. So that's another piece of advice. My fifth piece of advice is to fill all your prescriptions before you come to the United Kingdom. That was one thing that I did do before I left, and I'm so grateful that I did, because it takes a little bit of time to register with a GP in the country. So it's good to do that before you leave. And my sixth piece of advice is to do it. If you're about it and you've been sitting on the decision, I would say do it. Only live once, and it really does. Moving just opens up your mind, and you have to learn to adapt to situations that you wouldn't ever be put in if you were to just stay in Canada. So if you're thinking about doing it, do it, is my piece.
Yeah, thank you so much for preparing it. That's it's brilliant. You're the first guest that has actually prepared a list of things to advise people on. So, quick question. So, you said you were exported from Scotland when you arrived. Now, does that mean you were effectively deported for a while?
Yeah. So I came in to the country on May 7th, and my visa didn't start until May. I was told that I wasn't allowed to come in the country on my visa. They did let me go through as a visitor, but they told me that I had to leave the country and come back in. So I very quickly booked a plane ticket down to France for the day. And then, so it was a very stupid mistake on my part, and a very good one. So that that was 1 month's rent gone. Silver lining, I got to go to Paris, but yeah, my advice would be to read the rules, to know the rules before you leave.
Yeah, I mean, one would naturally think that one day would not make a significant difference, but clearly, to the Scottish authorities, it does make a difference.
Absolutely. I flew into Gatwick, and that's sort of where the customs officer told me, time to get out. I wasn't allowed to go to Ireland either, so that was another fun thing about. But yeah, that was my experience moving.
They were good about it, though, were they?
They were good about it when they were nice telling me. They were nicer when I came back from when I came back from Paris and my visa was active. And the next day, once I landed officially in Glasgow, I ran up to the post office to get my biometrics, or to get my actual card.
Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to all of those watching. If you enjoyed the video, I would encourage you to click the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And I would really like to hear from you about what, first of all, you think of this video, but also if you would like to participate in one of these videos, please comment below. We would love to hear your story. Until next time.